care for the media. Today at CPAC, he had this to say about the nation's publishers and pundits. Watch.
I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake. A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people. They're very dishonest people. In fact, in covering my comments, the dishonest media did not explain that I called the fake news the enemy of the people, the fake news. They dropped off the word fake. And all of a sudden, the story became the media is the enemy. They take the word fake out. And now I'm saying, oh, no, this is no good. But that's the way they are. So I'm not against the media. I'm not against the press. I don't mind bad stories if I deserve them. And I tell you, I love good stories, but we won't talk. I don't get too many of them.
We're joined now by Howie Kurtz, host of Media Buzz right here on Fox. So, Howie, I think a lot of presidents have felt this way. I don't think anyone has ever said it out loud. What's the effect of saying that out loud?
Well, when the president went after fake news, first of all, he actually identified CNN, CBS, ABC,
yes.
NBC, the New York Times. What became clear today with this escalation, Tucker, is that neutralizing the press is the central mission now, a central mission of President Trump and his White House. This is not just counterpunching. This is not just letting off steam. He is convinced that the media are so hostile toward him and that many journalists so despise him that the only way he can get his agenda passed is to discredit the fake news part of the media.
So part of what happens is if the president calls, say, CNN or the Washington Post the opposition party, it takes away any incentive they have, assuming they ever had one, to be fair to him.
Well, there are two sides to this equation because while a lot of people are portraying this as President Trump's war on the media, look, this guy has been subjected to the most negative, relentlessly negative coverage that we have seen in the general election, in the transition, and now in his first month as president. So he has reason to be ticked off.
For sure.
I agree with you because I think that if you're a CNN anchor and he's constantly going after fake news, Clinton News Network and all that, what are you going to do? You got to defend your company. In a way, it maybe pushes a network like CNN a little bit more into the opposition camp, probably helps their ratings with people who don't like this president, and it just kind of widens the divide.
Yeah, well, and that, you know,
by design.
The truth of that is on display every day. To the extent it's possible to foresee where this is going, like a year from now, are we going to have 19th century style partisan press where, you know, an outlet like the Washington Post came pretty close the other day, your old employer, by saying, you know, we're here to preserve democracy from the tyrant, in effect.
At the same time, when the president kind of ratcheted up by attacking anonymous sources, saying he thinks the sources are made up, that they shouldn't be used, he was really talking about a Washington Post story which had 9 sources, except it was a weak example for the president because that story was accurate. It was about Mike Flynn talking to the Russians, lying to Mike Pence, and it turned out to be true, and the president fired his national security advisor. But where is this going? I had thought, look, Trump can be very charming in private. I thought he would mend fences. He did go to the New York Times soon after the election. It seems to me now that we are now moving toward a kind of a polarized situation, Tucker, where a lot of the media, while saying that they're just upholding standards, are really going after this president with a special zeal. And by the way, you know, all presidents should be covered aggressively. And at the same time, the president and Steve Bannon, I think, have made clear that they have no interest in a truce, that they're going to keep prosecuting this war. It's the president's word, war. I don't know that it actually helps him pass his agenda, but it sure fires up his base. At the same time, it doesn't necessarily take him beyond his base. And remember, we are so unpopular, we are widely distrusted, so we're a big fat target for those who voted for Trump, but they still got to kind of expand to people who maybe didn't vote for him but are open to the idea of a successful presidency.
The social pressure must be enormous in newsrooms. So if you work in one of those outlets denounced by the president and you have a story that in any way helps justify his agenda, you're going to be embarrassed to file that, aren't you?
I hope that's not the case, but keep in mind, you know, journalists respond to incentives. So if the negative stories, land on the front page, lead the newscast, you might be inclined to do more of that. I mean, here's the thing that people never got during the campaign, and I'm not sure they get now. Negative press helps Donald Trump. That doesn't mean we shouldn't investigate and challenge what he says, particularly if he strays from the facts. But when the press piles on this president, He gets the us versus them that he wants. He's able to say, see, I'm bringing change to Washington. I'm draining the swamp. They don't want that. Steve Bannon says globalist, corporatist. It gives him the distinction that he wants. So it's serving his purpose. Maybe both sides get something out of it. But I do feel as a journalist that it's unfortunate that it's reached this stage.
Well, it is. And by the way, as a journalist, if you're emotionally invested in a story, you cannot see it clearly. And so people who feel, hatred toward Trump should not be covering him, or love, by the way, for that.
Yeah, and you see too much snark on Twitter from journalists who are not all that objective about the president.
You think. Howie Kurtz, thanks for joining us.
Great to see you.